welcome back to our channel. This is Teacher Cedric. We're going to start with a new series called DSA Made Clear. Basically, we are going to discuss everything you need to know about DSA from primary school to secondary school. And this is going to be the first video of this entire series. So let's get started. To start off, we first have to understand what does DSA mean. Well, DSA is actually the short form for direct school admission. It is a way for primary school students to gain direct entry to secondary school based on their talent in sports, CCA, and any specific academic areas. Now, if you're a successful DSA student into a secondary school, then with privilege, it also comes with responsibilities. So this is very important. For DSA students, you will have to follow the following 3 responsibilities. First is that you must commit the CCA for sports, art, and uniform if you DSA into that particular school using sports DSA, art DSA, or uniform group DSA. So for example, let's say I DSA into secondary school A with my basketball talents. Then I'm tied to basketball CCA for the 4 years in secondary school and I cannot change my CCA. And the same applies to art and uniform groups. And second of all, I can no longer submit school choices in the S1 posting process. And this kind of makes sense because you already take up 1 slot in the secondary school. There's no reason for you to submit more school choices. And lastly, if you DSA into a particular secondary school, then you're no longer available for you to transfer to any other secondary school in the 4 years of study. So, understanding all these responsibilities, then now let's talk about what are the domains, right? What are the areas that are available for DSA. Here are the 7 domains for DSA. We have sport and games, visual literacy and performing arts. They basically we call it art in general. Debate and public speaking, science, mathematics and engineering in general, STEM subjects. Languages and humanities, uniform groups, and finally a very unique one, leadership. We are going to talk a little bit more in depth into each of these domains later on in this series. So stay tuned, okay? Now the next question that we have to ask ourselves is that should we even consider DSA in the first place? Right? Shouldn't we just fully focus ourselves on PSLE? Now that's a good question, so let me answer this. And in order to answer that, we first have to look at some data. So over here, this is the PSLE cutoff point from 2023, basically the 2024 S1 students intake. And over here, we can see, over here I ranked the top 20 schools, and if you were to look at the PSLE cutoff point, it's most likely 6, 7, 8, 9. And if you know a little bit more about the cutoff point, you can see just aiming for this point for that particular school is not enough because this is the lowest PSLE score that they admitted. So let's take Raffles Institution as an example. Even if you get 6, doesn't necessarily mean that you are guaranteed to enter Raffles Institution. This is just the lowest AL score that they admitted, which means you need to aim higher than this. And this also applies to all the other schools when you are looking at the cutoff points. And if you compare all these cutoff points, and if you already started preparing PSLE, working on some mock exams, preliminary papers, you can see this is actually extremely difficult for us to get into these top schools. So, is there any other way for us to get in these top schools? Well, DSA. So how many students actually got into these top schools via the DSA pathway? Let's look at some more data from 2020 because this is the official data released by the MOE. Now in 2020, 11900 P6 students applied for DSA, and how many of them got in? 3,600. That's around 30%. And among them, here are the percentage, right, the proportion of different students in different domains. And on average, for one school, right, for any non-academic domain that we just talked about, like sport and science, like sports, art, and uniform group, non-academic domain, for each domain, they have less than 5 slots. And then for academic domain, English, Chinese, math, and science, there are more available slots, 10 to 20 for a school. So this wrap up to around 1,000 students got into IP program without using the PSLE result, just with their talents. And at the same time, around 2,500 got into non-IP programs, so that's 67% of these 3,600 students. So this amount of slots are available for us to get into our preferred secondary school that doesn't require our PSLE results. So this is why we should consider DSA if we are advantaged in any of the domain. So that's something that we are going to talk about later on in this series. How can I know that I am advantaged in a certain domain? Now, let us continue with our discussion on the general information about DSA. Now, the timeline of DSA is roughly around this timeline. So basically for January to May, you try to explore different schools and try to look at different domains that are available for different schools, because they are quite different school to school. And then in May, this is where the application portal are open up so that you can submit 3 school choices with 3 corresponding domains. And then from there, June to September is where you attend some written tests conducted by each school that you submitted, and then you have to do some interview and audition, especially for art students. And finally in October, you will get letters, like outcomes from the school you have selected. So either you get CO, that's confirmed offer, congratulations, or WL, waiting list, which means you are not rejected, but you are in the waiting list. So unless any of the students in the CO list have rejected the offer, then you'll be put into the CO list. So that's what WL means. And then in November, you receive a final school allocation that you have chosen in October. So this is roughly the timeline for a DSA application. Now, following this, there are these 4 schools that you have to pay attention to if your kids are interested in these 4 schools. They are what we call the DSA-only schools, which means if you want to enter these 4 secondary schools, then they don't look at your PSLE result. They only accept DSA students, and these are NUS High School, School of Science and Technology. Right, for these 2 schools, you have to submit them only via the DSA portal. While for the School of the Arts and Singapore Sports Schools, you have to submit your applications via the school website. So again, if you are focusing on these 4 schools, if your kids are focusing on one of these 4 schools, then make sure you pay attention to the key dates of DSA. Now that's it for this video. We talk about some general information about the DSA applications, and later on in this series, we're going to talk a little bit more about the details, like what are the criteria for each of the domain. So make sure you subscribe to our channel, like this video, and give a thumbs up if you do enjoy this video, and join our PSLE study group by scanning this QR code to get more information. Now that's it for today. I'll see everyone soon. Bye bye.